So when we studied about classification, we said we need to classify creatures or organisms depending on their features, okay? And the main classification is for animals and plants. Then we learned and we studied about the vertebrates, and we classified them more, okay, into groups and subgroups. Today we will explain about classification of plants. How can we classify plants, okay? So we have flowering plants and non-flowering plants. Who are the flowering plants? The flowering plants, which the plants that make flowers, such as roses, jasmine, any kind of trees, or any kind of plants that have flowers. So most of these plants all over the world, okay, are flowering plants, because flowers because flowers are important for reproduction, okay?
Yeah.
Most of these plants are flowering plants that make flowers. Closely related plants have very similar flowers. Sometimes we can see different flowers, okay, but they look like each other because they are related, because they are closely related. They can be from the same family of the classification, okay, but they look very similar, so we need to classify them more, okay? So let's see, how can we classify them? So why we need to classify them? To make it easy for us to identify them and study them. So we have the grass. We all know what is grass.
Yeah.
Grasses and trees are flowering plants too, but their flowers can grow taller than the moss. What is the moss? Sorry, I'm so sorry. Their flowers are usually small and dull, okay? So here the grass, sometimes in spring, we can see white or yellow flowers in grass, and trees,
Yeah.
we can see the tall trees has even flowers. Here the flowers usually are small and dull, not like that bright, okay, like roses and other flowers. Okay, this is for the flowering plants. What about the plants that without flowers? Let's have an example, like the moss. Do you have any idea what is moss?
It's like a plant thing, and like it's a plant, like a flower. It's not a flower, but it's a plant, and it looks like black.
No, not black. No, where can we find this moss?
I don't know where they found it, but they don't grow. They stay the same. They don't grow tall.
Guys, the only one that is participating all the time with me is Mariam. Can you just share? If you don't know, just say we don't know. It's okay. This is the moss under the tree, the green one. Okay.
Yeah.
It looks like an algae.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the moss, the green one. Okay. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Guys, I can feel the only one is Mariam with me. Okay. So the moss on the ground has no roots to take in water. So how does it grow? Other plants can grow taller than the moss because they have roots. They have roots down into the earth, to the ground, to take in water from the veins. They have even, from the ground. They have even veins that can carry water to in the stem, to carry water up to the leaf, like the tree, okay?
Yeah.
If we have the tree, this is the tree, okay? It has roots to absorb water from the ground, from the soil, and inside it, it has veins like this to carry water there to the leaves. Okay, these called veins. But this moss doesn't have these roots. That's why it stays low down on the ground. Okay, so since they don't have roots, how can they grow? Even the ferns, this is kind of plants that is very small.
Can you show it to us, this?
Yeah, it's here.
Miss, I know this one. These.
Not the tall trees. Not big.
No, not
Yeah.
the first one.
Yeah, this one, as you can see, this called ferns, okay? These called ferns. These ferns can grow very small. As you can see, on the ground, they are close to the ground, okay? They are not tall. So how can they grow since they don't have roots? They grow in damp, shady places and reproduce by making spores when they are wet only, okay? They should be wet. That's why we can see moss. Okay, I'm not gonna say where can we see moss, okay? Do you think, okay, what do you think, or where can we find this moss?
Rainforests.
Rainforest, thank you, Mariam. Rainforest, why? Because rainforest has forest has very tall trees, very high, tall trees that they can make shadow, okay, very big shadow, and they are wet. Most of the time they are wet, okay? So they can grow there in damp, which is in the shadow, okay? Shady places, and they can reproduce by when they are wet only. Okay, so how can they make these spores? And what are these spores? These spores, like very small sacs, okay, or very small rounded things, okay, they can reproduce with. So these in the moss spores, they can form at the end of small stalks. Okay, I will show you the moss spores, but the ferns form on the underside of the leaves because moss doesn't have any leaves, okay? So this is the moss. These are the spores. See, as you can see here, we have stalks, very small stalks. They will extend it out. This is the moss, the green thing, okay? This is the moss down here. And they can extend very small stalks out of them to get to reproduce by these spores, okay? Yes.
They're small, yes.
What?
I told you they are too small, yes.
Yes, they can. As you can see, this is the trunk of the tree, the tall thing here. As you can see, the brown. This is the trunk of the tree, and they are growing on it here. And they can extend stalks to have spores. Inside them, you can see seeds, okay, to reproduce. Okay, what about the ferns?
Ferns.
Ferns, they can reproduce by these spores, as you can see at the underside of the leaf. Underside of the leaf. This is the upper part, okay, which is the upper side, and this is the underside of the leaf. They can create spores and reproduce using them. Is it clear?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Conifers and flowering plants can reproduce in dry conditions. Do you have any idea about the conifers?
No. Yeah.
What are conifers?
That things like they are brown and we have like they are so they are in tall trees, like tall trees. Then they produce conifers.
Conifers are the trees that have cones, okay, that have cones. These trees you know, they call them here pine.
Yeah.
We call them the pine. okay? Not the pineapple, no, the pine, they call them the pine, okay? These are conifers. I will show you the picture. They can reproduce in dry conditions. These trees, these are the conifers. Do you know them?
Miss,
Yeah.
these ones, we have them.
Yeah, we have them here. Yeah, you can see them as very tall trees, okay? These conifers can reproduce in dry conditions, not wet conditions, okay? Dry conditions. But they have cones instead of flowers. They don't have flowers, so they can reproduce by the seeds inside them. So here the seeds can survive for thousands of years if you cold them and dry them. And we can dry them so we can store them in this condition. Okay? So this was about the flowering plants such as conifers and other flowering plants. So okay, let's talk about the life in oceans. We have plants in oceans. So how do they survive and reproduce? Guys, can you tell me what are the plants in the oceans?
Algae.
Algae.
Okay, what else? Deep
Seaweed.
algae at the surface, we can see it, but deep down,
Seaweed.
There's like
the producers. Who are
there's
they?
like grass under. I
No,
don't know
not
the
grass,
name.
not grass. Who are the
Yeah, it's like
producers?
plankton
Plankton.
and
Seaweeds? No, Yasin, not seaweeds, no. Okay. We have the algae here, okay? In oceans, plants are replaced by algae. They don't have separate roots, stem and leaves, so they are not classified as plants. So we don't call them plants, we call them algae because they don't have roots, stem and leaves, okay? They don't have separated parts. Okay.
yeah.
Algae include large seaweeds and microscopic planktons, phytoplanktons, okay? So what are these phytoplanktons? Do you remember when we talked about the microscopic phytoplanktons and we said they are the producers. They are the producers. Why they are the producers? Because they can produce their own food deep in the ocean.
Yeah.
Okay. So all this algae, okay, such as the seaweeds and the microscopic phytoplanktons, okay, are important to other living things. So why they are important to other living things?
Because they're the producers for the consumers.
They are the producers, guys.
Because for animals in the sea to eat them.
And they can produce their own food, right?
Yeah.
Jori, Rawasi, Aya, you're not participating with us. Okay, so we call them producers. They can provide nutrients and oxygen to support life in the oceans. We all know the plants, when the plants respire, okay, when the plants they make their own food, when they photosynthesize, they are releasing oxygen. They are taking in carbon dioxide and light, and they are releasing what?
Oxygen.
Releasing oxygen and nutrients. So if other sea creatures ate them, they will get nutrients. They will get the energy from the nutrients that they have inside them. So
yeah,
they can provide the nutrients and oxygen to support the life in the ocean. So that's why they are so important to living things, the other living things in the oceans. Okay, is it clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. What about the naming plants? How scientists named plants? All over the world, okay? Just a second, please. All over the world, to be able for the scientists to get or to understand each other's ideas, they should have a good communications. So for example, if I want to have an idea about anything that you are doing, okay, I should communicate with you. For as a student, okay, the teacher should be a good communicator with the students to understand them and to deliver the idea to them, to be able to get their ideas too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the same thing with the scientists. All over the world, okay, when we explained about, in physics, when we explained about the models, the ideas that they came up with for the models, okay, of the Earth, they didn't have a communication, a good communication in ancient days. So they didn't know each other's idea. They didn't have any ideas about their suggestions. But when the scientists started to communicate with each other, they were suggesting, they were publishing their ideas, and they were communicating very good. So they were explaining to each other what is my idea, and the other one were developing the ideas, and in this case, they started to work together to discover many things in this universe. So
Yeah.
the same thing happened with the naming plants. There was an expert, plant expert, a Swedish plant expert called Carl Linnaeus, okay? This Carl Linnaeus, he invented the system of naming plants that we are using today to name the species of plants, okay?
Yeah.
When he created this, when he started to name plants, actually he was good at getting publicity, which is publishing his ideas, and also his students were enjoying his lesson. So he was a good communicator. In this case, he started to communicate with other scientists and plant experts to give them ideas how he started to name plants. He was using Latin names or Latin phrases. Why? Because Latin was that time, it was international language. They were using it a lot in medicine, even like in medicine, in pharmacies, in pharmacy, they are using Latin words. Do you remember when we studied about the Latin scientific names of the heart, and which is like cerebral and the cardio?
Yeah.
These are Latin. The Latin language, okay, was international language of science at that time. So they were using it. So even this Carl, okay, he was using the Latin to name plants. Until now, science is still using this system for naming the plants or for any species that they discovered newly, okay? So this was how they start to name plants.
Miss, even the coronavirus, it's a Latin word. Corona means crown in Latin word.
Yeah, it's Latin word. They are using
Yeah.
it now in medicine a lot, okay? In science in general. In science, they are using, until now, they are using the Latin language, okay?
Yeah.
So this was all about classification plants. So first we said most plants are flowering plants. We said the
Yeah.
plants include mosses, ferns, conifers, and flowering plants. So each
Yes.
one of them, we explained how they do reproduce. We said that flowering plants grow from seed produced
Yeah.
in flowers. So when they produced in flowers, they can grow from seeds. we explained also about the conifers, and we said that they grow in dry conditions, okay, and they can grow from seeds that produced in cones, not flowers, okay. Instead of flowers, they have cones. We explained about mosses and ferns that can reproduce using spores, and we said the mosses have their pores at the ends of small stalks, and the ferns, the fern spores form on the underside of the leaves. We explained about also mosses have no roots or veins, so they cannot grow tall like other plants, okay? So as you know, the yellow box is homework, okay? And also I need you to work on the revision questions as we decided, okay? Next time we will solve the other questions, and I hope to work on them. I don't want to waste my time solving these questions alone, okay? So I need you to participate with me next time. Okay, do you have any question about this?
No.
Okay, so see you next time, guys, okay?
Goodbye.
Bye.